I'll recognize Ms. Stansbury for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Well, I do believe we have actually discovered the purpose of the EPA. Literally, this is why the EPA exists, is to regulate, study, and understand how modifications to the environment impact human health and the environment. And in fact, that is the primary purpose of the Science Advisory Committee for the EPA. You do a regulatory process, you look at the science, you determine whether or not it's good for the environment and for human health, and then if it's not, then you come up with science-based solutions to regulate it. That's literally why the EPA exists. So I'm excited. We've discovered why the EPA exists today in this committee hearing. But arguably, the largest geoengineering experiment in human history is climate change. And Dr. McCracken, I am really grateful that you're here to help us cut through the noise on all of this. You've had a distinguished career at our premier national labs, and you've also been intimately involved in helping to bring together consensus around climate change, including to understand both the global implications in carbon emissions and also what that looks like in terms of downscaling for specific places. And so I had to print, this is a well-known graph for anybody who has studied and understands climate change, but the science is very, 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 very clear. Since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, you can see here that carbon emissions have gone up steadily, and global temperatures have also gone up. And the chemistry and the physics of that is that it creates energy in the atmosphere that affects the entire global distribution of weather events. So, there's a lot of misinformation that gets put out there for folks that don't really understand the science of climate change. And it's representation at the local scale is very different in different places, and it's always changing. So, Dr. McCracken, I hope that you can help us understand a little bit more. At the most basic level, we have the opportunity to educate the public here in this committee today. What is the global scientific consensus about how we address this?
Well, so we have good indications that what's happening with the carbon dioxide is it's coming from human activities, primarily from fossil fuels, some from deforestation. And we know also from history and physics and a number of other ways that that's going to lead to trapping of heat and making things warmer. If you want to stop getting warmer, and we've been going up significantly at a very rapid pace compared to geological times, you basically have to stop and phase out CO2 emissions.
Exactly. And, I want to just correct something that was discussed earlier, which is that the idea was put forward that somehow we want to eliminate carbon dioxide on planet Earth. That's not, let's just be honest and clear about this, that is not possible by the laws of physics. Okay, so let's just say that. But really what we're talking about is reducing the amount of atmospheric carbon that is in the atmosphere so that we get back to something more approximating pre-industrial revolution activities, because it is driving the capture of heat on planet Earth, and heat creates energy. That's just, anyone who's taken physics or chemistry, that's what climate change is. It's increasing energy on planet Earth, and that causes more extreme flooding, more extreme storms, it causes drought in some places. It changes the whole distribution of how the planet's energy functions. And that is really what climate change is. So in terms of reducing our carbon footprint, we're headed in the coming months into the latest incarnation of the Council of Parties, the COP, to prepare for international climate negotiations. The president has removed us from climate commitments, and the GOP has just taken away many of the tools we have to reduce carbon emissions through the Big Ugly Bill. Tell us what the consensus is in the scientific community about addressing carbon pollution in the United States. What do we need to be doing here in the United States?
Well, we've started by trying to use efficiency. We've started by trying to change our energy system. The key thing about our energy in the U.S. is most of the renewable energy, solar and wind, is out west and in the Midwest, and a lot of the demand is in the East Coast, and which is unfortunate. So what you do with natural gas when you have a difference place where the source is and where it's needed is you create pipelines. We need to do the equivalent of a pipeline for electricity across the U.S. It would be very beneficial to the country to do that and is necessary to get the cheapest energy for the future.
Thank you.
The gentlelady's time has expired.